All right, so there's a couple of things I want to go ahead and address in this video. We're just going to be talking about basically everything that is upcoming that we're expecting, because I see a lot of people confused about, oh, when is this going to happen? When is this going to happen, etc. And what really set me off was this initial notice we received yesterday in game about a future update. So they are actually notifying us ahead of time that there is a system update scheduled to be conducted during the version update planned for mid-August, which is after Global Dokkan Celebration ends. But this is right before the September Tanabata celebration will begin, so a lot of really interesting developments there. After this version update, some devices may experience slower app performance, which can mean something huge. Now, Rick is stating that, again, this should be the 6.0 update if everything goes as we expect. Considering that there's going to be some devices that experience slower app performance, I think this makes a lot of sense that they're going to, let me refresh this because it says I'm not following Rick for some reason. That's crazy. But I don't, why is it doing that, Lo? That's crazy. But anyways, besides Twitter glitches, this could be pretty huge. So there's something just to keep in the back of your minds. Whatever Tanabata or the new celebration, whatever it's going to be called, probably like the thank you celebration in September, whatever that's going to be, they're going to launch it with the 6.0 update, which could really be a result of what Dokkan 2 quote unquote really means. You know, Dokkan 2 is kind of the name we gave Dokkan this year when they started doing the UI changes, right? How they really changed the battle UI in itself. They also changed sprites where there are the animated sprites now, which is really cool. Battle motions, as they're called. So a lot of these different things are being updated. So we'll really see what Dokkan 2 can bring in store for us in mid-August. So that's going to be really, really exciting. But that's just some really small things I want to bring up here. Now, next we have Vegeta and Trunks. Now, this is a character that people are just kind of sitting around and waiting for, like, what's gonna happen with Vegeta and Trunks. Are they gonna actually EZA? I'm gonna assume that they still will EZA before part 2. And the biggest reason for that is because they're on the Dokkan Festival banner, right? I mean, we see here they did put Vegeta and Trunks on this banner specifically. I feel like maybe they would have gone for another character in the slots if it wasn't going to be like an Extreme Z Awakening here. I just really think it makes a lot of sense to see Vegeta and Trunks receive an EZA, especially because we haven't really seen, like, okay, if we take a look at like the first anniversary in comparison, or the first, what am I talking about? The 10th anniversary in comparison to this global 10th anniversary, we know that by this time we already had 4 Super EZAs, and then when part 2 dropped, we did have 2 EZAs also released with it. And of course, if we take a look at those Extreme Z Awakening specifically, it was Vegito, Buhan, Janemba, and Super Gogeta. These 4 Super EZAs are what came out in part 1. Then in part 2, we started things off with the Namek Goku and Full Power Frieza. This time, part 2 does start with the banners dropping instead, compared to how part 2 would usually actually end up beginning. So again, if we count this year, we had basically part 1 banners and everything like that start on the 7th, of course. Then part 2 would probably start, like, again, the 21st quote unquote range, but that doesn't seem to be the case. In this celebration, we received 2 Super EZAs and then 1 EZA here. I think maybe we can get potentially a pretty big EZA drop here. And we know that the banners will come out the 24th, 25th. So what I'm really gonna estimate, because I again do expect Vegeta and Trunks will EZA, I'm thinking, again, if they're gonna EZA before part 2, which I think is really the case. It's not confirmed, but very likely, considering they're on the banner, I would expect their details no earlier than the 20th. So that's because today, Friday for a lot of people, Saturday for a lot of people, and then the 19th, like at least in US time zones, this is actually the weekend in Japan. But when the 20th rolls around, it will not be the weekend anymore. So the 20th, at least US times, let's say, they will drop the details, and then on the same day for US times, or the 21st in most of the rest of the world, the data download would actually happen then. with that in mind, that won't be a weekend data download. They very, very rarely do that. And I could see another drop here. Again, Fusions of Monster came out on the 17th. That is like a 3-4 day window of when the drop happens, right? So again, to me, this makes a lot of sense. And then that would all be right before the actual part 2 banners would release, which would be a couple of days after that. So I think that's a possibility. It's not really a confirmation because for all we know, there is not going to be anything. I just would be really surprised if that was the case, right? I do expect like Vegeta and Trunks to be out again like the next Monday/Tuesday, depending on your time zone. And then the part 2 banner should be out like Thursday, Friday, depending on your time zone. So, it very well could be a double data download week. I wouldn't put it past them, especially as a celebration are stating to be an anniversary level celebration. And Gresh did leave a response here. And the only thing I could see them is being saved as one of the EAs for the EX part. It sounds stupid. And it does, because from what we know, part 2 is going to be GT themed. So with that all in mind, waiting to drop Vegeta and Trunks' EZA at the very end of the celebration after like this character, like their banner will be extended, but it's like, you know, I think another very obvious clue is Vegeta supports Trunks characters, right? And what else I think could happen is if they do go ahead and drop EZA Vegeta and Trunks, I think we could see Super EZAs drop with him. Like imagine Vegeta and Trunks' EZA releases, but then these two also get Super Extreme Z Awakenings. This Fusions of Zamasu and then this Sword of Hope Trunks. I think that would be really perfect. A crazy world would be 3 Super EZAs. I don't really expect this guy to get a Super EZA here. If I was gonna choose, I would probably just be 2 Super EZAs. This Sword of Hope Trunks and then this Fusions of Zamasu. Makes a lot of sense to me for them to just get their Super EZAs as well, just because it's like, again, this is another Trunks character. These characters, like, what would they really be saving them for? I mean, there could be a Z future celebration in the future, I guess. Maybe like a worldwide chaos team with like the androids, and then this guy would EZA. Maybe he'd be good for both this Goku Black Zamasu team and worldwide chaos. We don't necessarily need another Fusion Zamasu, considering we have the Int one. But maybe they make this guy like some sort of like Slump 1 character. Or maybe, again, he is also a debuff for start of turn. Like, you could probably get away with both of them on the team. This guy would be really cool right now just because he does debuff as well. Again, debuff characters are pretty relevant, I think, in this current kind of space of difficult content. So, we'll see what happens. Will be very interesting to see what things happen like moving forward. I would temper expectations and only really expect one EZA. We can close this here. I would really expect this guy to get his Extreme Z Awakening next week. It just depends on how much they want to surprise us. It's not like we've seen, it's not like we haven't seen like multiple characters drop at the same time with Awakenings. Like, I believe, did these 3 all come on the same day? The 5th? Yeah, they did. Yeah, I mean, if they wanted, they could just drop an Extreme Z battle than 2 Super EZAs. Like, they could very easily do that. Because then we did receive, like, you know, usually during the anniversary it was only like Super EZAs together than EZAs together, but based on the EX part, like, you know, they can kind of do whatever they want to. So, will be very nice to see if they decide to give us the extra, like, good treatment. It would really be a nice final drop of part 1 before part 2 actually does begin with all the GT stuff. And I think, you know, if part 2 doesn't drop with EZAs, people would feel a little better about that. So, fingers crossed. Maybe it's a little copium. But I really do think that they're going to EZA before, like, part 2 would actually begin and things like that. And again, I said here, like, they only do data downloads unless they have to, like, on the weekdays. I mean, yeah, there's also the there's kind of like the card art reveal that a lot of us are kind of expecting. And I want to cover this. So, a lot of us were really looking forward to, like, the card arts being revealed. For this Global Doga campaign part 2, because I mean, especially with us already knowing what one of the part 2 alerts are likely going to be, we're kind of sitting here like, okay, you know, if this is indeed like the anniversary, again, they keep saying it's an anniversary celebration, at this point during the second anniversary, we already did see what the card arts were pretty much, right? And he made a tweet disheartening that Dokkan is doing zero marketing in 5 days. We should get the data downloaded. We don't even know when the art reveal is. Again, I think it should be a little more than 5 days, right? So I guess Annie is the 19th, right? So it'd be 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Yeah, that does line up. So I mean, yeah, last 2 worldwides and a half art reveals. So part 2 is what Rick says. Again, Rick is a very notable source with like kind of timings of things and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure if you guys watch Truth as well, I think he does talk about like, you know, what Rick's talking about. So Ningen, Toon Rami, like all of us creators, we love Rick, bro. Really is good with this information. And then he said they just posted teasers. Then the full reveal in 2023, the teaser was posted just 4 days before. And last year they posted it the same day as the reveal, 8 hours before the reveal, right? But again, we're bringing up here, this is what I saw earlier. If you line up the part 2 banner dates, we should have the art stream on Wednesday. Again, this is tweeted on the 18th. You probably won't get a proper art stream, maybe just a teaser, and then we'll see the announcement for the part 2 stream on Sunday. Based on what happened in part 2, like the dates really don't line up. I mean, it would have been announced, what's it called? Where is it here? Yeah, part 2 stream announced on the 15th. You see the difference there. So again, we're already kind of behind on when that's going to happen. And then by basically the time that Fusions and Moss and everything came out, we had the part 2 stream, but we also got to keep in mind part 2 was pushed back compared to what the usual time frame was expecting to be. So again, it kind of is different here too. So we'll see what happens. And then he says, I think part 2 art reveals basically are meant to be a special part of the fan meetups. The reason why the part 1 reveal didn't work the way we thought it would is because the fan meetup didn't actually happen. We'll know if it's an anniversary marketing if the reveal is an actual stream, not a video. 10th part 2 was the first to be an actual stream, and then the 4th part 2, right? The 4th anniversary part 2 was like an exception, funny enough, because we had, I think they got I forgot who it was that sung Don, but they got him on there, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, again, that's just kind of information I want to throw out at you guys. There is the chance that we don't actually see like how during the 10th anniversary we did have the teaser where it was like, hey, this is the card arts. Later we're gonna have an actual stream, and then during the stream you'll see what the details are. It might not happen that way, so just something to look out for when it comes to this kind of information, right? That it might not really happen here. And then again, it's just kind of talking about like, hey, part 2 LRs could be Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. There's this thread that I saw right here. I wanted to just go ahead and take a look here. So this is Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta standalone or fusionless active. Let's take a look at multiple clues pointing to either direction, because no matter what, we know, like, okay, if we're assuming Omega's a part 2 LR, who's the character next to it? I actually do think that there are a couple of options. I'm thinking it could be a standalone Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. It's very, very likely, considering that, what's it called? The, like, part 2 Omega doesn't make sense being a tag character, right? So if they want the part 2 LRs to more so mirror each other than like part 1 and part 2, I would assume the Super Saiyan 4 GG card, I think it's going to be Super Saiyan 4 regardless, won't be a tag character, but we'll see. First and foremost, Gogeta Super Saiyan 4 will appear in some kind of way in part 2. Why would Blue Goku and Blue Vegeta lead Fused Fighters and Final Trump card if not for him? I think that's kind of valid, right? Having these characters kind of lead here. Outside of Intricate Gohan from the 8th anniversary, each Super Carnival has always been on the Super Dokkan Festival lead. So again, let's talk about 9th anniversary. Blue Gogeta transforming Fit Beast Gohan's leader skill. Let's talk about the, what's it called? Trying to think of other celebrations. Last year, obviously, the Super Saiyan Gohan Fit the Super Saiyan Trio leader skill. To be fair, a lot of these kind of celebrations are usually in the same saga. Like, I don't remember the last time we had like 2 different sagas per se, because like worldwide last year was a movie, but I guess to be fair, like Dragon Ball Super movies were also different in that way too. So like, well, I guess I should clarify, maybe there's never really been like two different series since like the Goku Frieza original Worldwide in 2018, where we had like the transforming Goku Frieza and the very first LR Goku and Frieza. It's not really very common to happen, especially in modern day. So I guess that's something to consider, but it kind of makes, like, if you want to go with this, the part 2 carnival character will likely be super class, and Gogeta will be related to the card. I think it would make sense. Because fused fighters, there are fused fighters, right? Which also means a fusion has to appear in part 2 for the carnival. Omega, Gogeta Super Saiyan 4. Let's talk about why it could possibly be fusionless active. Dokkan has been focusing on the tag mechanic a lot, which would lean in favor of them doing tag 4s. A tag 4s would be pretty cool for Vegeta Blue fans, so they're not angry. I mean, like a Gogeta privilege, yeah. I think having like a fusing Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta when part 1 Vegeta Blue was not fusing would suck. I think a standalone Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta would be a bit better, because it's like, well, you know, okay, at least it's not the same exactly as like the tag blues. Also, the thing is that Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta has never had a standalone LR. Vegeta Blue does have a standalone LR with the again, if we take a look here, with the STR Blue Vegeta, right? Free to play character, but he did have a standalone one. And at the very least, there is a transforming, like, you play as Vegeta into Vegeta Blue card. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta has the same, but again, if we look up Gogeta, like, kind of just in here, there's no LR Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, or Gogeta that would transform into Super Saiyan 4, because that doesn't really happen, right? I think having a standalone Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta would kind of be cool. The only thing about this is it would kind of suck for this guy not to have a really like linking partner like that. That's why I kind of like the idea of non-fusing Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, just cause it's just a new named character. And obviously with this guy EZAing, it would kind of help this guy out in that way. Not much going in the way of a fusionless active. Now let's talk about why it could possibly stand alone. Theory has more clues to stand on than tag 4s, way more than feeling. Dokkan has already done, or let's see, it looks at things Dokkan has already done, never done. So, okay, let's see here, the fusion cycle. Let's see what this theory is. For those who don't know, Dokkan has essentially, since 2018, got individual fusion cycles for Goku and Vegeta. Kind of dictates when a new fusion is getting a new playable units. Seems to be a 7-year type deal. When fusions enter in when they get their first playable LR, and then within that 7-year period, they get 2 LRs. Super Vegito and Super Gogeta entered in 2018. And then in that 7-year span, they got 2 new playable LRs. So Vegeta Blue got a new playable unit 3.5 years after Tech BB. Gogeta Blue got one 4 years after STR Gogeta Blue. They seem to be lined up for a massive 12th anniversary, looking at the EZAs available, which would be 2023 Worldwide, 9th anniversary, Tech Vegeta Blue, STR Rose, Physical Broly Age of Gogeta Blue Super EZAs. You know, that would be a pretty fire anniversary, huh? Like a fusing Gogeta Blue and Vegeta Blue for 12th anniversary with these kind of EZAs. 9th anniversary Gogeta Blue, Beast Gohan there, Tech VB Super EZA. Yeah, this has a lot of merit. Again, it's kind of funny looking towards like 12th anniversary right now, but like with how they do EZAs for these celebrations, like obviously they could kind of do whatever they want at this point. For example, this year a lot of people were thinking Frieza, like Namek Saga kind of worldwide global Dokkan celebration because of the amount of EZAs available, but obviously that did not pan out to be the case. But I mean, when you kind of talk about fusions, it's maybe a little different than the Namek Saga, right? So leaves Gogeta Super Saiyan 4 alone. He's probably the most alone fusion with no counterparts, since Vegeta only got 2 forms. Fortunately, no Diamond 7th anniversary kind of proved it since they released the first fusion lists as the Tech LR gods, right? Yeah, again, this like do they consider like them part of the fusionless cycle? Maybe, but Goku and Vegeta tags duels have never not been the DFLRs, so why would be the case now? Yeah, because like, has there been a carnival Goku and Vegeta? Obviously not that it can't be the first time, but like a standalone Goku and Vegeta card, because this is the Dokkan Fest. Yeah, every single one of them have indeed been a Dokkan Festival character. So I think this is a good point as well. I kind of wish that this was its own video, but I already made like standalone Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta super videos, so I kind of want to talk about it here. Just cause, again, it's a pretty big discussion here. There's never been the same type of unit 3 times in a single like celebration. Again, that's fair, where it's like, you know, well, intro plus transformation plus active, right? Dokkan designs are too, like, they could be so complex. In a sense, not complex, but like more like different from each other, I think is a better idea. Yeah, again, like I really see, like, obviously, you know, they already talked about getting another Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta card. The celebration is as a remake of the first 200 milestones. While it was way too early for VB to get a new playable unit, the same cannot sit for Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. I mean, again, like, Vegeta Blue is 2023. Super Saiyan 4, like, at the end of 2023. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta was at the beginning of 2022. Like, there is a difference. Like, that's almost a 2-year difference. I would say more like 1.5, 1.6 years, but like, that is a long time. Yeah, I mean, I'm more on the line of a standalone Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta at this point, personally. That's what I expect to see, but it could kind of go either way. I'm just leaning towards a standalone one. But again, if he would be revealed, that would be next week. And so very soon we should be really getting some good ideas about what's going to happen. But that's really it. So let me know what you guys are thinking when everything's going to be dropping. I think, again, pretty good chance we get some details in the next 2 days bare minimum. I will be here to cover it. But I'll catch you guys in the next video. And peace out.